Welcome back to the Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, capital markets analyst and host of your cannabis business podcast. Today, we're going to take a look at how pot use reached an all-time high in March, and then dive into the daily updates on how the coronavirus has affected the cannabis market, what some consumers are buying during this outbreak, and then an overall cannabis market overview for April. So in a report that was recently released, cannabis sales in California, Colorado, Oregon, and Alaska jumped 50% during March 16th through the 22nd. And then according to Bloomberg, it looks like cannabis reached an all-time high in March during the lockdown via a Cohen and Company report. So the survey conducted in March had 2,500 consumers and found that 33% had tried smoking pot, which is a record high, and that 12.8% had used cannabis in the past month compared to only 12.5% last year. So sales spiked in March as people rushed to stock up ahead of the potential dispensary closures before they were deemed essential businesses. However, sales started to decelerate during the last 2 months of the month. So this may be linked to a more pronounced deterioration in the job security in the past month, or just with essential business, people know that they can go back. So they're stockpiling, waiting, and then going back. So you're seeing these peaks and valleys. The survey found that the percentage of cannabis consumers working full-time fell by 290 basis points, or 42%. Either way, it looks like America is getting high and melting in their couches, and Netflix and quarantine become the hottest trends during the pandemic. All right, looking at Headset's daily updates on the coronavirus and its effects on the cannabis market. So quick peek into Canada, there's a special nuance to the market that with Cannabis 2.0 hitting store shelves right about now, consumers are being able to stay at home but try new products like beverages, edibles, concentrates. So all these products are doing really well right now, not just in Canada, but in the US. But looking at these categories, looks like 56% increase in flower with a 4.4% increase in edibles. So not as much as in the US, but a significant increase in April. Quick peek into consumer preferences surrounding flower, and specifically eighths of flower. That's 3.5 grams. That's remaining the constant consumer purchase trend. So you would think with people being laid off, they'd shift their consumer preferences away from expensive eighths to more affordable prices, but we're not really seeing that yet. So taking a look at Washington and California eighths over the last 30 days, looks like the sales of premium price eighths, they remained relatively steady at roughly 30 and 45% of total eighths. So although there hasn't been a clear shift in consumer spending yet, it could change shortly as the government issued stimulus checks make their way into consumer bank accounts. And we've had reports of people at rec shops spending a lot more than normal with those checks. So I think it's safe to say between Washington and California, but it looks like their preferences around flower hasn't changed much yet either, although I do anticipate that to change. So taking a look at the impact on the stimulus checks, the first wave of issuance in the U.S. and the second is the start of 420 sales. So you can see an uptick from an impact on the stimulus checks, as well as people rushing in to starting to see those 420 deals stack up a few days before the big day, with an increase in sales anywhere from 30 to 50%. So looking at 420, definitely those sales affect with deals and sales and discounts and lines and all of that is definitely a game changer. It's the number one sales day. So I would expect to see a lot of trends and changes of online preferences too with this virus. But normally what I see is that 420 sales end up being 2 years in event, 2 years down the road, the everyday low price. So if you have a discount low price retailer, for example, that'll be the 420 sales from 2 years previous. So right now, what I'm seeing everyday low prices are from 420 sales in 2018. So that's what I expect to see. This year, there weren't a whole lot of deals. I saw $8 1 gram carts and $49 ounces. So by my theory, in 2022, we'll see $49 ounces and $8 1 gram carts. So this graph we're seeing here is for Washington State. It's sales for the 6 days leading up to 420. So sales elevated more compared to 2019. I think that's because people were being forced to look online and look at those deals. 420 fell on a Monday, so some of those deals we were starting to see online Friday, in theory. I don't think they were online. I think they're loyalty discounts. So if you're not receiving text or alerts, then you missed out on a lot of those deals, because I sure didn't see them online, but I was receiving text alerts with deals as much as 55% off. So sales during the days previous to 420 in Washington amounted to $23 million. That's up 32% from the same day last year. So looking at current sales trends, it looks like maybe this year we'll actually see the similar total sales from last year, just spread out over more days, which kind of makes sense with social distancing requirements. All right, let's take a quick peek into what people are buying during this crisis at some top sellers. Some of the states and provinces and local municipalities have gone back and forth with slapping restrictions on sales, but for the most part, as an industry, they're fully operational and in most cases, essential businesses. So you're seeing consumers are certainly grateful for it. So Headset has noted in their daily updates that sales are way up. We'll take a look at some of the top brands state by state, see what they're buying. So edibles are definitely a top seller. In California, looking at the Kiva is on top. So with that said, 35% is the average growth during the crisis right now. And so one of their top sellers is the Camino Wild Cherry Gummy. It's a 20 pack with 100 milligrams. And that particular product is seeing a 115% increase in average daily sales over the pre-COVID crisis. In Washington, we're seeing craft elixirs. Their brand is up 67%, driven by a pre-existing top seller. Their Pioneer Squares, the black and blueberry 10-pack with 100 milligrams, is seeing a 77% increase in average daily sales. So Nevada was hit hard with delivery-only orders and absolutely no tourism whatsoever. So Cannabella is seeing growth at 32%. Specifically, they have a CBD THC 1-to-1 ratio, a watermelon gummy that is seeing a 62% increase in average daily sales. And if you haven't seen the trend yet, gummies are winning everywhere. In Colorado, you're seeing Dixie Elixirs brand is seeing a 71% increase, and specifically 123% increase for their Tropic Twist gummies. So while flower isn't quite as popular as the edibles overall, there's definitely been an increasing interest, specifically large amounts of it, which can make sense. People are trying to avoid taking frequent trips to the store, but are also probably anxious about ongoing access to their favorite strains. Average daily sales of ounces were up 41% across U.S. markets, while sales of 1-gram packs actually decreased by 13%. So as for consumer favorites, Washington cannabis buyers went for ounces of Northwest Cannabis Solutions hash plant strain, giving it a 233% boost in average daily sales. In California, ounces of Nug Bubba Diamond had led the charge with 78% increase in average daily sales. All right, so taking a look at the cannabis overview for April with this Headset report, we can take a look at California and Colorado, Nevada, and Washington. The other 6 regions won't be available until late June. I had reached out to Headset to find out. So just briefly taking a look at some of these U.S. states before we jump into what Canada is doing according to MJ Business Daily. Some of the trends we can see for total sales: California is going up, and then Oregon is going down. Year over year sales, again, California going up, Oregon looks like it's going down. Average basket is kind of flat. That's a little bit mixed, actually. Illinois looks like people got their peak amount initially in January, and then February trailed off a little bit by about 30% drop. They had 150 million, and then down to, average basket was people were spending $150 initially. Now they're only spending $100. So obviously makes sense with people kind of getting a little bit scared about disposable income. The count of baskets, what's in there, is fairly flat. It's kind of up and down, but the brand concentration, I'm finding interesting, that is increasing. So there's some consolidation already just in the brief data that we've got. So taking a look at Canada's pre-pandemic recreational cannabis sales that were stagnant in February. Sales fell just under $150 million last February, the last full month of purchases before the COVID crisis slammed the global economy. 8 of the 13 provinces and territories experienced lower sales in the month, according to the latest Statistics Canada data, but most of that decrease was within the margin for error. So Ontario's sales rose 3% to 38 million. British Columbia saw sales improve 2% or 20 million. And Alberta's sales were worth 33.3 million for the month. So we're kind of hoping to see some of this Statistic Canada showing us some improvements for that Cannabis 2.0 that rolled out in October, I think, of 2019, that allowed for infused products, beverages, edibles, concentrate. But I don't think the full impact of those products are going to be noticeable in these monthly sales until maybe in the spring. So hopefully we'll have that out and updated by June. We don't have much more than that. We'll give a full breakdown, I guess, back when we get this info in June. So with that, we're going to roll this one up. I'm Josh Kincaid. This is the Talking Hedge. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or don't, and I'm out.